What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, and this is Blue Giant Media. We're here to help you find, learn, and play the games that you love. Today, we've got Chimera Station by Mark Major and published by Tasty Minstrel Games. We're going to go ahead and look at the game. I'll talk through the rules, give you a little bit of an overview, and then we'll come back. I'll let you know what I do like, what I don't like, who may like, and who may not like Chimera Station. Here I have Chimera Station set up for 2 players. So on your turn, you're going to be able to take one of your workers and you're going to place them on one of the modules. Right now I've got it set up so this is the start player. So you can go here and that's going to give you food, or you can go here and that's going to give you some coins. You can go here and you can, any one of these places, you can spend coins to get these cool different genetic components that then you can go over to the splicing lab, and that's going to allow you to place them onto your workers, and that makes those workers have special abilities. Each worker can hold 2 of these, and you're going to get different abilities based off of whether you have 1 of each or 2 of each. So you're going to get, with the claw, it lets you muscle someone out. So let's say somebody goes here and you wanted some coins too. You can take your guy with the claws and you can move him out, and you can still take that action. Whenever you move somebody out, they're going to get a little bit of a bonus too. They either get an extra food or a coin for getting displaced. So it's not all a bad thing at all. It is just better for the person who gets to do what they wanted to do all along. So as you play, you're going to go down here. You can spend coins in the cost showing here, and that lets you build. When you build something, you're going to place it around your command hub. You're going to start with just this one available. This one is not available until the 3rd round of the game. If you go where you build your command hub, or your modules around the command hub, is going to give you different bonuses. So based off of what you cover up, you're going to get that benefit. So if I were to, in this case, pay 3 coins, I could place this over here, and that's going to give me 1 leafy component. And then whenever you build something, you have the option of then immediately activating it. You're going to get points, the star symbol here, when you build things. And then this one says that I can spend, or I'm going to get 2 coins for each adjacent worker. So not the smartest move to do right now, but that is going to be how it works. You also, as the game goes on in subsequent rounds, there's going to be a whole bunch of these modules that get built around the board. Those are all places like these that you can just go directly to. So let's move some of these out here as if the game has been progressing and going on for a little while. So then on my turn, I can choose to just go directly, like, oh, I want to go here, and I'm going to take 4 coins, and I can get an additional coin for every claw on this particular worker, which there's none, so I just get to take 4 coins. Alright, so that's how the modules are going to work. You can also go over here whenever this is starting to get low, and you can refill these components, or these modules, and based off of how empty it's gotten, you're going to get more and more of a benefit. So you don't have to draw them all from one side, but whenever they are, let's say, it was like this, and you pulled one off of here. You're going to slide everything down or take one, shift it down, because whenever you go here, the ones that are over here are more powerful. This increases your tech, which gives you perk cards, which can give you different special abilities, ways to score points, now or at the end of the game or throughout the game. Like this one right here makes it so whenever you displace someone with your claws, you get to take their food and coin that they would have gotten. So makes it so, and you're also going to get 2 points at the end of the game for every claw that's either here or spliced into one of your workers. This one right here says that you're going to get 1 extra point every time you build a building. So these do pretty interesting things. The other thing your tech is going to let you do, your research is going to let you do, is get more workers. So as you cross certain thresholds, you're going to get more workers. And these can be either on the A side, everybody's got the same, the only difference is the color, or you can flip them over and they get special abilities, which are going to change both, like this one right here. When you flip it over, it makes it so you can spend food instead of coins to build these modules. So normally you're gonna, this would cost 3 coins to build, 5 coins to build, 3 coins to build. You have the option of spending food instead. Then it also changes the way things go here. You start with an extra green component already spliced into one of your workers, and it changes the way some of these things are structured. As far as, right here, sometimes some of them might say that you're going to get your worker at 3 and 5. Some might say that you're going to get your worker at 3 and 4. So there's different things there, and it also changes if you have 2 food, because you have to feed your workers, I'm sorry, not food, 2 leaf components. Usually, if you have 1, that worker is fed. You don't need to worry about feeding him at the end of the round. If you have 2, then that one is going to feed himself, plus get 1 more that can be used to feed somebody else, because he grows food. What this race lets you do is when you have 2 of them on one, you're going to collect 3. 1 for himself, which feed right away, and then 2 more. So they all get special abilities that make them play a little bit differently. That also changes the way they score. Normally at the end of the game you would get 1 point for every 2 food. This one gets 2 points for every 3 food. So each one of these is pretty dramatically different. So I definitely recommend playing with the A side. It was very interesting. I'm sorry, with the B side. It gets very interesting. So the way you're going to get these components into your workers is by going over here to the splicing lab. So if you go over here, as soon as you place it, you can put up to 2 saved genetic components into that worker. And then that worker is going to stay there because it takes some time to get that work done. And after all the rest of the workers have been placed, in order of A, then B, then C, those workers are going to come out onto the board to do actions as well. So you don't waste the whole round doing it, you're just going to be delayed doing the rest of your turn. You'll play through 5 rounds. On the 3rd round, everyone automatically increases their research track by 1. You get 3 new perk cards put out, and now whenever you build any of these modules, you'll score double points. So instead of getting 2 points when you build this, you will get 4 points when you build it. At the end, once you enter the 5th round, you are going to deal 3 new perks. Everyone increases their research track again, and then every time you build, you get triple points. So basically, in the 4th and the 5th rounds, you're going to start scoring massive amounts of points. At the end of the 1st round, you might only have, anywhere from 5 to 15 points, maybe more. But in the 4th and 5th rounds, maybe each time you place one of your possibly 6 workers, you're going to be scoring 20, 30, maybe even 40 points depending on how you structure things and what's available for you. So it really snowballs and picks up steam as you start to place these things out here. As you build some of these out on the further reaches of the cosmos here, the benefits get greater and greater and greater. Some of them let you even recall workers so that they can be placed again that round. Some of them increase your tech. Some of them are going to give you 6 coins or 4 food, because at the end of each round you have to feed 1 food to each of your workers. Well, if you can get 4 in one shot, that's pretty good. So the tentacle component makes it so whenever you go somewhere to get that food or coins, you get 1 extra. The claw makes it so you can bump somebody. The leaf makes it so you feed yourself. And the brain makes it so whenever you place that worker onto a module, you score the number of points in the star on top of doing the basic action. So it makes you get some extra points. And then the powers can be changed further by getting a second one of the same kind onto one of them. So you can take one of these. This one feeds himself and has the ability to get extra ingredients or resources when he goes out there. But if I had chosen to instead put 2 yellows on there, now whenever I go somewhere to get a component, I can go here, and instead of paying 5 to get 2 components, I can pay 5 to get 3 components, or I can go here and spend 2 to get 2 components. So you get an additional component, not just additional coin and additional food. If you have 2 claws, normally with 1 claw you can only displace a worker that has no genetic components or that has just one genetic component. If you got two, you can get rid of, or not get rid of, but display somebody that has two components spliced in. So they all have a little bit of a different ability, and they're all explained on the board. Now you should have a pretty good idea of how Chimera Station plays. So with that said, some of the things that I do like. First of all, it's a worker placement game. I'm a big fan of that genre. I've got a whole bunch of different worker placement games in my collection, so that checks the box for me right off the bat. Second of all, the space theme. I'm a big fan of space theme. Theme is not that important to me, but it's kind of, I don't know, it plays maybe a 5% factor in. So not a big like, but I do like space theme. I think a lot of people pigeonhole space as it's a genre, but really it's an umbrella of genres in my opinion. And this I like very well. I like a lot. The artwork's great, and it's just a lot of fun. Some of the other things I like, the components are phenomenal. This is the deluxe version, which I guess you're probably not going to be able to get your hands on, but even without the deluxe components, it's still a nice game. It's fun to look at, but those metal coins, I don't know, components aren't really that big of a deal, but when I have good components, it's just, there's something nice about it. It's very solid, but even without that, the fact that those genetic components can snap into place, that's really cool. And the ability to actually customize the workers, that's another thing that I really, really like about this game. I love the ability to say, all right, well, you know what? I want to be able to get those tentacles because I want to be able to get more food and more coins every time I go around. And then when you get the perk cards that come in, you might be able to get it so your tentacles also grab you some victory points every time too. The open play style, the way you have your variable player powers, you have the different ways to customize your own workers, and then the way that you build out the station is going to so drastically change every game. There's so much variability in the box, and I think that's phenomenal. I just think it's a great game. Some of the other things that I like, the game length is not too long. It's borderline getting into, I mean, it doesn't drag on, but there's some times where it can tend, it starts a little bit slow, I guess. It builds up as the game goes on, and those last couple turns, it sort of gets the opposite effect where you've got so many options at your disposal. So maybe, I guess I'm sort of starting to move into the dislikes, so I won't get there yet. So yeah, I covered worker placement, space, components, the artwork, genetic components, the length of the game, the way the station expands, and those variable player powers. So let's get into some of the things that I don't like. This is super minor because I really, really like this game, but that play length, how it starts a little bit slow, and then it builds up in that last round, there's so much to do. That doesn't really bother me that much, but there are some times where, like, man, sometimes at the beginning of the game, you just don't have access to the coins and the food at a rate that you would like. Sometimes it's just, and you have the ability to use your starting card, your starting resources card, to flush the reactor core and get new modules in there to choose from, and that helps a lot whenever there's no way to get money to build any of those things. You can kind of just flush it out, get some other modules in there that hopefully are going to give you a way to get money, and then as you build out, depending on how you build out from the station, you can get to some of those spots that have money on them when you play those modules. That's pretty good. Another thing that was not so great, and this is from what I hear rectified in the newer printings of the game, is the rulebook was a little bit unclear. It didn't lay things out really clearly, so there were a couple things that I played wrong the first couple times I played this game, until I got a chance to look at the next edition of the rulebook and then get some clarity on that. So the rulebook could have been written better, but I haven't taken a really good look at the second printing of it to see how that works out. But you should definitely make sure that you fully understand the rules. So, feeding meeples. In worker placement games, I'm not too big on that. I don't like Agricola because of that. I like Caverna better because it's a little bit more forgiving. This is also pretty forgiving. That's one of the reasons why it doesn't bother me too much. Because if you can't feed, you just lose components. Which, while that is annoying and it is a setback, it's not crushing. So it's not that bad. The other thing that I don't like is that this was a Kickstarter thing. I am not a fan of Kickstarter. I have backed a grand total of one thing on Kickstarter, and that was the Seventh Continent, because they just said repeatedly, you will never get it outside of Kickstarter. This is a great game. I think Tasty Minstrel does a better job now of releasing games with their deluxe components outside of Kickstarter, but I don't really know because I don't really pay attention to Kickstarter much. But that bothered me a little bit, but that's super minor and it's also super personal. Probably won't apply to you. So what things do apply to you? Who will like this game? People who like this game are fans of worker placement, fans of kind of an open play style with a lot of variability, fans of science fiction themes, fans of things that are new twists on old classic mechanics. That twist on worker placement, how you can make your worker placements your own and give them better abilities as the game goes on. That's something that's different. The way that the station expands, how depending on what direction you expand, you get better benefits. The components, the modules that you build in can change the direction of the strategies. The way one person plays, it's super interactive. How if someone takes a spot that you want to go, you might be able to bump them out. Maybe they have some way to counter, so when you bump them out, they get points on top of the normal food and coin. So there's a lot of variability there and a lot of interaction. That's really great. Some of the things that people may not like, or who may not like this game, and that might be some people who are not a fan of that, the openness. People who want a little bit more structure in their games, a little bit more predictability and way to plan further out. You can plan, I feel like you can plan a pretty decent amount out in this game. The interaction makes it so that there are times where you can't predict what's going to happen, but on the whole I feel like you can predict pretty well. But there are some people who want to be able to predict in an almost chess-like manner, where they know what they can have at their disposal from one turn to the next, to the next, to the next, and this one you might not be able to plan that far out. So take that for what it's worth. I think that's also pretty minor. Who else might not like this game? Maybe a purist who wants just their worker placement pure. They don't want to have that variability. They want to be able to know, hey, I do this, and that's what it's going to be. Again, I feel like that's going to be pretty rare. And really, that's kind of what I feel like. You got to be kind of nitpicky. I feel like this is a phenomenal game. It's very well balanced. There are ways. The biggest complaint I could see is people who are prone to analysis paralysis, because especially those last turns where there are so many places to place your workers, and then on top of that is which worker do you choose to place. That can make those last, like the 4th and 5th round, start to really bog down, I guess. The other thing I guess you might not like is those first couple rounds, you might not worry about getting points at all, because a good, 80% of your points might be scored in the 4th and 5th rounds. So depending on how you play, you might want to see a little bit of a more linear scoring rather than that last 4th and 5th round, last 2 rounds of the game, seeing everything happen there. So that could bother you. So be aware of that if that is the kind of thing that does bother you. But for me, it doesn't bother me at all. My recommendation is this is a phenomenal game. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite worker placement games, and I really wish that it got to the table more often. The only reason it doesn't is because I move around and I don't always have a game group that isn't already that I don't already have to prepare to play any game, let alone a game that's a little bit more of a middleweight game. Thank you so much for watching. That is Chimera Station by Mark Major and published by Tasty Minstrel Games. If you have any comments or questions about the game, please let me know in the comments section below. And if you want to see a playthrough rules overview of Chimera Station, keep an eye on the links for a link in the description section. You'll also find a link there to macronovagames.com where you can buy many great games. And until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. And as always, have a wonderful day.